Okay. It's taking a really long time to figure out if it wanted to go live or not. It was freaking me out a bit. But what's up, guys? Josh J. Bauer Art here. We will start with the episode in just a few minutes, and we got an awesome guest popping in tonight. He's an artist. He's a colorist. He's all kinds of things, and I haven't talked to him forever, so it'll be great to chat with him. But first, this episode of Back Talk with Bauer is sponsored by Kingdom of Comics. That's right, the one, the only Kingdom of Comics. You can find them on Facebook.com/Kingdom of Comics Shop. Make sure to put 2 S's in there. It's Comics Shop. If you do not spell it right, you won't find it. Then you'll be mad at me and you'll come bitch at me in my comments. So spell it right and we'll be good to go. You can find them at 4320 South Babcock Street, Melbourne, Florida, 32901. Jason and Paula, the amazing folks that own the shop, are good friends of mine, and they are fantastic people. You can get new comics. You can get authorized. They're an authorized CGC dealer. They've got toys, graphic novels, rare collectibles, pops, statues, back issues, and more. I actually got this pop from there this past Saturday. I drove down there to Melbourne, Florida to hang out with them for a little bit, dropped off some artwork. There is now J. Bauer art all over. Well, I don't know if it's all over. I think they have a wall dedicated to me now, which is kind of weird, but a nice big spot that they put up like 6 or 7 paintings of mine that they are on display and for sale. So if you're in the shop and you see some artwork of mine and want to buy it and tell them that you saw it on the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. But shout out to Jason and Paula for putting my artwork up on the walls and for also purchasing one of my paintings. They purchased my big ass Venom painting. So I greatly appreciate that. Make sure to check out on Fridays, they got half off any beer with the purchase of a trade paperback or graphic novel. I don't know if they're still doing the drinks to go deals. I forgot to ask about that, but you can always ask. And then Jason wanted me to plug a few things that are going on in the comic universe. I am going to butcher this name, but it's Sanjaversal. Sure, we'll go with that. Number 1, it's Ren Sanja Multiverse Event. That's a thing. You can ask them about it. They know I can't read, so you're good there. There's also Future State going on over in the DC side of stuff. I've heard that the next Batman, the Future State Batman's pretty cool, so please check out that. And then the Marvel's King in Black crossover is still going on, so check out all that awesome stuff. If you're in Florida, drive to Kingdom of Comics. They have a bar in their freaking establishment. It's just like going and hanging out at a cool kid's basement, but with more light and less depressing. And his mom's not yelling at you because they're all cool. So yeah. And if you are not in Florida, Facebook.com/Kingdom of Comics Shop. And you can actually order directly from them and they ship to you. I'm about an hour and a half away from them, so it's always a little hard for me to get there all the time. So I'm usually message Jason. I actually just got some stuff squared away Saturday for him to ship out to me soon. I'm like, I want this, this, and this, and he'll either order it, he'll hold on to it for me, or whatever I need. So please check out Kingdom of Comics Shop. What's up, Willow? Good to see you. Other than that, let's get this mess of a show started. When I find buttons, and there we go. What's up, guys? I am Josh of J. Bauer Art. I am the host of this shit show I call Back Talk with Bauer, and it is episode number 41, if I remember correctly. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope everybody is doing well and everything's treating you right. First off, shout out to my man, Eric Pabone, the awesome guy that made this shirt. Well, he made the design that goes on the shirt that goes into Threadless that I bought, but he is the guy that designed the shirt. So shout out to Eric Pabone. I actually got to bug him and see if he wants to be on my show next Saturday, because I got that podcast super show with Harley on and I need one more guest. So yeah, if you like the intro at the beginning, if you like the logos you see, if you like any of these paintings you see around me, head over to jbauerart.com. You can find all that stuff in there. There's buttons to click. There's the merch shop to buy my shirts. There's Back Talk with Bauer shirts. There's the parental advisory shirt, tons of different stuff. Tons of prints, tons of paintings. There's the limited edition prints. just to let you guys know, the February's limited edition print has become live. You can purchase it now until till February 12th. You can get, there's only 20 available, and it is available for just that time slot. So if you want one, and it is actually of this painting right here, the Powerpuff Girls. If you want a limited edition of print of this, it's signed, it's numbered individually, all that good stuff. You can purchase this. And just so you know, if you buy one of these, one of the prints, you get your name automatically tossed into the a pool to get possibly pulled to win last month's print, which was the Mandalorian print. So if you like Powerpuff Girls, if you like The Mandalorian, you want to support my awesome art, the show, and all that good stuff, head over to jbauerart.com and purchase all the goodness. And I'm going to throw this painting somewhere because I keep saying it and it's annoying me. And then shout out to also one more shout out before we our guest, Inked Marketing. www.inked.marketing is the place to go if you are trying to fund a Kickstarter. If you would like to grow your Kickstarter audience, get it funded, do all that awesome stuff, and get your next comic book, your next whatever you got going on funded, head over to Inked Marketing. They actually will hook you up with podcasts just like this one. I am part of the NSC Podcast Roadshow, and I work with NSC Live. I've worked with Inked Marketing to promote different Kickstarters. So you could be one of my next live reads that Inked Marketing has me do, like Swords and Solace. You guys should know that name. We talked to Connor a few weeks back for Swords and Solace, and it is join the nearly 150 followers and be ready to go for it to go live. Swords and Solace is the third and final entry of the Swords and Sorrows trilogy. Rat, an assassin who wishes to earn his freedom from his oppressive guild, becomes a legend as he roams the land, cutting down every killer who dares step in his path. In the conclusion to the trilogy, Rat learns that true peace isn't just something he needs to achieve himself, but it's something that must be taught in the next generation. So head over to Kickstarter.com, type in Swords and Solace, and you will be able to support an awesome Kickstarter. I believe they were fully funded. I think they're hitting some stretch goals, so please check that out. Holy crap, that is a lot of talking on my end and a lot of crap to go over. I hope you stuck around. I try to go as fast as possible, but somebody needs to pay the fucking bills in here, and this is how we do it. No worries, Terry. Thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. Have a good night, and try to get some sleep, sir. But this guy that I'm about to bring up, I have known him. I don't even know how long. I just known him forever. And I always ruin his last name. So I'm going to have him say it so I don't ruin it. But welcome to the amazing, talented Jeff. What is the last name?
Balke.
Balke. See, I always did when I first met you and would talk about you, or like you would come up or something. I always said Balk. And then I'm looking at him like, okay, I'm not great at English, but there should be an A's capitalized, and so I totally forgot to ask you before we got started. So Jeff,
we get a lot. We get Blake, we get Balk, we get Sulky with an S. we get everything you could possibly think of besides my actual name. That's okay.
Well, and like I wouldn't even go with Balky because that's my bad English going with on like. Because it should, in my head, as far as I know English, it would be Balke, because the E would make the A.
Too. Yep, yeah, we get that too.
That's what I was thinking, but Balke. Okay, now that we got that,
almost like we even get Balke, like Balke Patakumos from Perfect Strangers.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Oh, did I just age myself?
I have no idea what that is. So maybe...
I absolutely hate you right now. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No.
You're not that much older than me, are you?
I don't think I'm 41. I don't know.
Oh, I'm 33, so a little bit, not terrible, but it's definitely that's 7 years. There we go. I'm actually was a Boy Scout, so I know.
So was I.
Yeah. I totally lost where I was going with all that. But welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
If you do not know, I'm sure you know from talking to me quite a bit at different conventions and all that stuff. I got a bit of ADD and attention problems, and that. But this show is ADD kid friendly, and I always make sure that every spaz and weirdo and people that go squirrel are welcome here. So
bring it, bring it. One of my cartoon characters is a squirrel.
exactly.
So bring it.
Exactly. So we will of course be talking about your comic strip and all the stuff you got going on there. But so I didn't know how to plug you, because I know you more. I think with at least getting to know you first was you're more of a colorist,
Right?
But
right.
You're also now you're a or not a full-fledged, but you're more doing the drawing and everything nowadays, right?
No, actually,
okay.
I'm it's been really difficult to go the transition from being a colorist to animation.
Right.
Now, with the animation portion, think of me as Walt Disney in the 1940s. You know, he stopped doing animation in the late 30s, but he stopped doing that, and he was the brains behind the operation. That's kind of where I'm at. I still do the coloring. I'm because I love coloring, but I'm actually going to be training or teaching myself online how to do animation.
Oh, wow. Man, that's fantastic. So, I like to start, especially with newer people that are on the show and the first time on, I always like to know how people got into what they do and everything like that. So when did you start getting into the art and everything to that nature?
I was in the single digits. Okay, I'm not going to go that far back, but I'm going to go that far back on purpose.
Right.
I don't even know how old I was, but I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and my dad and he was an amazing artist.
Okay.
He would say, "No, I wasn't." Blah blah blah. I should have brought the picture with me. It's a picture of Scamp from Lady and the Tramp.
Okay.
But anyways, we're sitting at the kitchen table, and there's an old school soda can, Pepsi can, in front of us, and he wanted to have I wanted to have a competition, a drawing competition. Well, I couldn't draw the can because I never really liked drawing still life stuff.
Right.
So what do? I draw a tree. But I drew that tree of like when you're a little kid, it's just basically you got the outline of the tree, just the two lines on the side. You draw a hole in the middle. You color it in black and some ruffles on the top. That was my tree. That's all I did. My dad did this amazing. Like, he looked at that can and he was drawing it perfectly. He was getting the shadow and the highlights and this all with pencil, number 2 pencil. Now, of course, Mom came in and she judged, but she said I was the winner. But I know that he was
nice.
Not an idiot. But I looked at that. My dad's like, you can be anything you want, and that's why I go all the way back, because he says I can be anything I want if I put my heart to it.
Okay.
And I know that's very cliche. I know a lot of people say that, you know what?
Everybody has their different starts, and some of them are just like a movie, or the typical parent thing of you could be whatever you want to be. And,
well, I'm a very old soul. I'm very kind of old school. That's what a lot of people because that's where my imagination is. I'm trying to catch up a little bit, but there's so much. As you and I have talked a few times prior to this. I'm trying to catch up with things, and so I'm literally everything that I say sometimes feels like it's coming out like a cliche, but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and a quick shout out to Sage and the entire crew of HWWS Web TV Hanging with Web Show. Thank you guys for popping in. Hello, everybody.
Hey guys.
Yeah, they were all excited that I said that you were going to be on tonight. They're like, "Oh yeah, I see." That's how much pull you have. Is usually Hanging with too busy for me, and they don't pop in too much. I haven't seen them in a little bit. But Jeff shows up and everybody's here.
Aww.
I gotta cause trouble. And for those that don't know, Jeff and I met through the comic book conventions when I was doing those and everything, and we usually would chat as much as we can here and there during the conventions. And I kind of started using Jeff as a gauge. If he was having a bad show, I felt okay not having or having a bad show. Like, I go like, "Hey Jeff, how's things going with you?" He's like, "Oh, not good, not good." I'm like, "Oh, cool, it's not me."
That's so weird because other people have said the same thing. Like they kind of use me as that gauge or that person to kind of like, if it's a bad show, Jeff says it's bad, we're not going. You know?
Well, and it was even being at the shows, and if you were not selling a lot, because
Right.
my art was always kind of weird, and I never knew it was a swing or a miss at shows for me. But like you, most of the time you did fairly well at shows. So if I would go up to you, I know I was doing bad, and if you were like, "Yeah, I'm not doing great either," I'm like, "Okay, it's more of the people that are here because you have a little bit of everything. You had tons of different stuff to sell."
Oh yeah.
And so there was you and a couple other guys. I would gauge stuff off and go, okay, if they're not doing well, it's because most of the time you just if you're not doing well, your brain just goes, well, my art sucks, nobody wants it. At least that's how mine goes.
No, I completely see it. That's how things started becoming towards the end of my show career.
Right.
And we can definitely get into that in a little bit. But going back to what you also said, kind of like how did I start? Your question.
Yeah.
Yes, back then, but in the comic book realm, I started with MySpace. Believe it or not, I put up my own pictures that I was drawing, and Spider-Man and White Queen, the easy people to draw, and but I just did black and white, and people loved it.
I have to interrupt real quick because there may be some young millennials and whatever generations after millennials.
No,
now boys and girls, MySpace was before Facebook. I know. Don't freak out. You can go find it. It's still around. It's a lot different than what it used to be.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, MySpace was before Facebook, and I got on the tail end of MySpace because I couldn't get anything until I got a computer, and that was like right when I graduated high school in 2006. So yeah, I just had to make sure that the boys and girls at home, they're like, what the hell is MySpace? Is this some kind of weird? Yeah, it was right. For your time. It's okay. So,
is it new?
I do miss the music on there. I loved how much you could customize it and play music. And there was no rules back then. You could just do whatever the hell you wanted. Exactly. Add any imagery. Yeah, it was nice.
They didn't have algorithms. They didn't have, this police. They didn't have all that stuff like they have nowadays. But Sonny. I just like an old person.
Yeah, we gotta watch.
Oh my God.
Old man really? And that's where GW and Pop GW aka Pop falls in. Hello, sir. Good to see you.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's
all good. It's all good. But but for MySpace, I put up pictures. I met an artist. He gave me some of his pictures to do, and he was in the industry. And he wanted me to build up my portfolio, and I just kept putting up nothing but picture after one after another.
Wow.
And at the time, a lot of likes and comments was like 30, or maybe 40. That was a lot for me.
Right.
I'm lucky if I get 10 nowadays. But
yeah, anyway. I'm not like I get 30. I'm like, yes, I'm doing something right.
Right. Exactly. But I got hired by a small company who was also on MySpace, and I did that entire book for free. And I did a few books for free in the beginning. And even though people think I'm nuts, but I know what I wanted. I knew what the editors wanted because they want to physically see something that you've worked on, not just prints. Right. Anybody can do prints.
Right.
I showed them that, and it was a few years later, Raven Gregory came up to me, and I started working with Zenescope.
I gotcha. Now, where were you located at this time? Because I know it wasn't Florida, right?
No. We were in Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
We and I'm not sure. I was trying to think of it since I booked you. I'm like, when the hell did I meet Jeff? Because we just do so many shows and there's so many cons. You just start knowing people after a while, and I can't even remember.
I think one of the first times, if not the first, there was a show at a comic store. And I want to say you were in charge of it.
Was that Acme? Acme,
yes.
Store? And it was Ignition.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How the hell did I get you to Ignition?
I don't know.
That was like a tiny little, and I don't even care because this is years ago. It was a tiny little shit show in a small ass comic shop. I had no clue. I don't even know how the hell I got you there. Because
No, you know what?
a decent
My,
name.
my thing, I didn't even care, you know, because I
Okay.
like going to shows. I liked meeting people. And it's just one of my things that, you know, you don't have to go to a big show in order to have a good or a great show.
Right.
You know, look, I met you. I met a
Right.
lot of people there.
Yeah.
No, we didn't make a lot of sales, but sometimes it's not all about that.
No, that
Sometimes.
was
Now it is.
now it is. Yeah, Ignition was very cool because it just felt it was one of those cool hangout moments, and it was I think it was a really good networking moment too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the third one wasn't the greatest, but the first two was definitely good networking, people meeting new people, people. I think a lot of collabs came out of there.
Yeah.
And I think it served its purpose. I killed that motherfucker after the third one though. Oh, don't. If you ever think it's a good damn idea to put on a convention, just don't do it.
Oh,
Don't do it.
I couldn't even imagine.
Oh, it was terrible. Especially when we did that third one. We went into our own building and rented out a building, and I made it huge. And man, I filled it up. I'm not gonna lie. At least with vendors and the idea of what we had and everything that we had going was really cool. We just couldn't get anybody to come to it. But anyways, so you get hired in at the where was it again?
I got hired. It was After Hours Press.
Okay.
So my very first comic is called Foxwood Falcons.
Okay.
So when it came out, we literally couldn't even give the book away. It was an all ages book.
Okay.
I mean, we literally couldn't even give it away. And we're like, what the heck? The artist was next to me. I was there. The writer was there, who was also the creator and founder, one of the founders of the company. We just couldn't get, we were at Chicago Comic-Con before it became Wizard World. I think that year, I think it might have became Wizard World, 2007, I think.
Okay.
And I mean, hey guys, I still have copies. They're not free though.
You know, the crazy, speaking of Ignition and having copies, I still had a few Ignition ink shirts from the third one. They just it's like cockroaches. Like just randomly, I'll be cleaning out some stuff, and we've been kind of staying at home lately and all that crap.
Right.
And I redid my whole art cave, and I'm pulling some stuff out, and I'm like, oh my god, it's another Ignition shirt. Oh man, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
You get it. So you get into there, and when do you start hitting the full convention scene? Like when I started meeting you and everything.
It was actually after I got fired from my job.
Oh shit!
That was the best thing that ever happened to me in 2009. Again in Chicago, I got fired from my job at Crate and Barrel. I was one of the managers there, and as much as I love that job because the discounts were amazing, but it was a godsend. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was working full time as management, but I was also working full time in comic books at night when I got home. So literally, I'd get home. I mostly worked during the day, retail. So like 5, 6 o'clock at night, I'd be home.
Mm.
But then I eat dinner. I go right to the computer and I just start coloring.
Yep.
So that went on until about 2, 3, 4 in the morning, depending. Oh. And then 6 o'clock, I got to get up so I can be at work by 7.
Oh man, yeah,
I did that for years.
I do a bit of that now, but I try to. I come home, eat dinner real quick, and then I try to at least get 3 to 4 hours in of doing stuff, and then try to go to bed between 9 and 10 because I gotta at least function a bit for the day job. But I know how that is. It's yeah. My mom basically pointed out yesterday, the day before. She goes, "You do realize you already work 2 jobs?" She goes, "You do that, and then you come home." I'm like, "Yeah, but this job I get to sit in my chair and not have to be bugged by anybody."
Right.
It's a little bit more chill, and if I really don't want to work at night, I can call it early.
Right.
So you get into the convention scene, and you did that for how long?
We did that for, and I say we, Brandon and I,
right.
Really 2007 is when I started doing the convention scene, and then I stopped about 2 years ago, like doing it hardcore.
Right.
So you're talking like what, 12 years, 13 years?
Man.
And we would do towards the end, or I should say towards like the peak, we were doing anywhere from 35 to 40 shows a year.
Oh man. Yeah, and there's only 52 weeks in a year, so
exactly.
math. It's a lot, and And I always like to point out, because I definitely like my show to point out things, the background things. You guys, if you've been to a convention, you see all the amazing prettiness, all of it set up and ready to go, and you see the artist sitting there. You do not fucking understand, and I use the word fucking strongly. You do not understand the struggles, the pain in the ass, the amount of work it goes in. Even the simplest setup. Some people are great, they have a nice little setup, but you know, if you've been doing it for a while, you're trying to get a lot of attention. You have one hell of a setup, and it is so much work. Oh my. So give love to the artist as much as possible. If you see something that catches your eye, even if it's a little something, buy something small just to support that artist, because that dude busted his ass for about a week before they even sat in their chair, at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it kind of changed over time. I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer there, but I mean, it really did change over time, over the 2 years. You know, and like the last 5 years, I mean, I really, and I even said it to Brandon, and I said it to some people at the scene, on the tours, that I'd be on with people, or not with people, but I'd see them at the shows. Man, oh man, I tell you, they came up to me and said, "Wow, how did you know that this was going to happen?" I said, "Because it's too good to be true."
Right.
That's why.
Right. Well, and even you and I were getting into the last, because I hopped into doing stuff. Let's see, I moved down here in 2008. So maybe around 2010, I started getting into everything and dipping my toe into the water and doing conventions and stuff. And the first, I think, 2 to 3 years were great. And it was really cool, and I was making extra money, and things were happening. And then in the last few years, it was beating a dead horse, and it was rough. And I know you and I would be having some conversations. And when I heard you were like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to be done with these," I'm like, "Oh shit!" Again, you're one of the guys that I always kind of, higher up than me. Not in a better or worse way, but you.
No, I know what you mean. I'm
seasoned. Seasoned. There we go, season. And then that was the weird thing. I did it for almost 7 years, and people started asking me questions. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right. Yep.
Like, don't ask me. I just go there and pray that somebody looks at me.
It was, everything kind of started changing. Like 2012, 13, and 14 were great. Mm-hmm. But then 15, the middle of 14 started kind of going downhill, at least for me anyway. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started noticing the major difference. Now everybody has a print, and everybody is going online and they're finding those prints, and it's all the same piece. Right. You can walk around, especially now, well, maybe not now, but you can walk around to shows and you can go, "Oh, I've seen that piece over there. I've seen that. Right. Oh, that one's over there too." And it's just the originality just went away.
Yeah, and there was getting to a point, like, I would be walking down, and this is not a shot at different artists and everything. Do your thing. We don't give a shit. But we noticed stuff. And, you're walking down Artist Alley, and there was a point where you're supposed to be, a different table and a different artist at a different table. You couldn't tell when one artist started and another one ended.
Exactly.
And you're just like, okay, yeah. And there is quite a few people that still do some amazing work, but there was getting into some chunks. I'm like, I'm seeing a lot of repetitive stuff, and that's why I've always tried to do very different stuff. I tried to push, from my end, the original canvases. I hate making prints; it sucks. Right. I try to push the artwork, and then that's why I do the limited edition ones now, because it makes money of them. If you really wanted it, you get it, and then if you don't buy it in that time, well, too damn bad. Right. But you did a variety of different things. So now, how you said you weren't much of a drawer, so you sold prints of different colorings that you did. So those were other collabs that you did. How did that work?
The first one actually was again at Chicago Comic Con. That's kind of where everything kind of started. In different years, but there was an artist that I really liked. I had a fan bring up to me a black and white piece, and I was doing the sketch colorings at the time, but I kept on getting the same thing, and it was 11 by 17 print, and I'm like, where are you getting this from? This is awesome. I love it. Who is this guy? And so I walked up to the guy a little bit later on, and I said, "Hey, this is who I am." And we introduced each other. He knew who I was because he saw all the original, the sketch colorings I was doing, and got his number, got his email. We teamed up, and we were together for a long time. Jason Metcalf.
Okay,
so
I'm sure
we did
a
lot of
his
stuff.
work. I would know it because I got quite a few of your prints. So I'm sure one or two of those are from him.
Well, one of the things that we got quoted, which was kind of, I thought it was really cool, but at the same time, this is where I'm kind of like, I don't know if I like that as much, is we were being, I don't want to say crowned, but we were being called the next Mike Turner and Peter Steigerwald.
Okay.
And if you know, those two, they always worked together. Anything that Mike Turner did, it was always Peter who was doing the coloring. Phenomenal coloring. And actually, that's how I learned how to color, was picking up Peter's books and Mike's books. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. I couldn't, but I figured out my own way to do it. And I came up with my own style, and boom.
Nice.
But yeah, it was. But then it just kind of grew from there. People started seeing what I was doing. And I did a lot of live videos when it was all free. And I did a lot of live at Facebook. I post a picture and everybody saw it. Not 5 people on your 5,000 friend page.
Right.
Whole another ball game, a ball of wax. Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. Right. All right. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to do a quick commercial, and we'll be right back.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
We do have to update that a wee bit. You can actually head to HWWSWebTV.com to find everything Hanging with Web Show and everything that's included in the HWWS Web TV network, including this show, Back Talk with Bauer. There's Saturday morning cartoons, Lights, Thunder, Action, Nerd Culture, Willow's Pillow Talk, and there is actually a show debuting tonight at 9:30. It's a brand new show to our network. It is the Unrelated at Birth show. So you can tune in at 9:30 on the HWWS Web TV Facebook page and welcome a new group of people into this cluster F we call family. So with Web Show. And we weren't lying. Jeff's been on their show. You saw him.
I think I'm like, look, there I am.
There he is, right there. So yeah, we get into. We were talking about comic book conventions and the rise of them, and I think the kind of the fall of them. And it's the fall of them when we talk about it. It's from our artist creative point of views, especially for the people that were in it before the Marvel movies came out or got as big as they've been. I think that was a big chunk that changed.
That was the biggest change right there.
Yeah, once we got, and I love the movies. They're great. I go and see them every time they come out. I own every single one of them. I love them to death, but my God, did it kill a convention. And if people are wondering, well, how did it do that? Well, you get all these, there's tons more people that want autographs from tons more people that are in movies, and they all run into there and run to go get their autographs that are $100 to $200 a piece. And then when they roll past my table, they no longer have money for a $10 print.
Well, you see, but it's not even just that. That was the beginning of, I think, the fall of artistallity. Right. In my opinion, because you said it perfectly, Josh. You set it up perfectly. They would run. They'd go get Chris Hemsworth. Hello, I would too. But they go get Chris Hemsworth, autograph or somebody's autograph that they really want to see. All the conventions started doing it, and you're right. They're anywhere from like $200 on up. For like one of the B to A listers. Depending. Yep. But then they would fly right by our tables. Why? Yep. It's like we have Thor. We have whomever is there, but it's not the movie version.
Right.
That's what everybody was looking for.
Yeah. And I think also too, because again, there was a good few years that I was in it and I would talk to people and there was a different love for stuff. There was this young, like, because I would hit people around my age or a little bit older that loved my stuff because I had a different twist on it. And they had this love for the character ever since they were a kid. And they were like, they understood the what went behind the art and what the character was and wanted to, they were cool with dropping some money on something. These newer fans, they're fans, but they're a different kind of fan. And they don't have, and a lot of them are newer. They've just gotten into it, in the past few years or whatever it was. Right. So they didn't grow up from it as a kid and stuff. And there's a lot of factors to everything. And prices went up on everything too. It was, it was, and hell, I went to. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, people, speaking of prices, people would always ask me, Jeff, how can you have your prints so low? Mm-hmm. When I first started out, I had the prints at $15 each or 2 for $20.
Right.
And a great deal, right? It was awesome. But I came up with something even better, but completely by accident. And this was kind of something else that I saw, again, later on towards the end of my tours, if you will. And the guys I was sitting next to were also 2 of the illustrators that I was actually coloring. So all 3 of us, all 3 tables, we all had the same prints. Mm-hmm. However, and that was awkward.
Right.
So I'm like, well, these guys are like, they're killing it over here. Like they're selling everything. I mean, but they don't sell just like, 5 to 10. They don't limit them. They have like, stacks this big of just one print.
Right.
So they have so much. And they're doing it 3 for $20. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't go that low, because of the prints and this and blah, blah, blah. Brandon and I drove to all the conventions. We drove to Canada. We drove to San Diego. We drove, of course, to Florida. Our car just kind of goes there now. Seattle. I mean, we drove everywhere. And I'm like, well, how am I going to balance all this with, finances coming in and we're dishing out more? You know what? I swallowed my tongue and I actually went down to that price.
Right.
And I'm glad that I did because we started making more money at doing 15 each or, wait for it, 3 for $20.
Right.
That was the best thing that I think we could have done in the whole entire time of at least sales. Right. And we kept that all the way up to the very end.
Yeah.
Things changed a little bit, cartoon stuff at the end, but we'll get into that, I'm assuming, very soon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to be, and you and I can bitch about conventions until the end of time, and I do want to, and we're part of bitching, part of it's just telling people how it is. I do want to do an episode. I want to do an episode that some people, and I think I would hope you would be a part of it, of just us kind of pointing out just wild and crazy things and bullshit we had to do.
Sign me up.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we will get that.
I'm telling you right now.
We will get that in the works very soon because I've been doing some group, every other week as an interview, and then the in between weeks are group chats. And it's been a while, and it would be fun to kind of reminisce on some conventions too because there was a lot of cool stuff that went on with them. But at the end, and I, COVID I was already kind of done, and then COVID kind of like put a final nail in the coffin. Exactly. And once I got away with them or got away from them, I'm like, oh, I can actually save money. Like, shit, this is why this hasn't been working. It was
okay. I'll tell you the nail in the coffin for me. Not necessarily COVID, but it was. I had a few people all like the final year when I told people that I have my own animation studio. I'm coming up with this. I have my own characters. Superheroes are going away. I'm not going to sell them. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And even though it's kind of like the share tour, I said I wasn't going to have superhero prints. They kind of stayed around for a little bit. I slowly started getting rid of.
it's like that little like introductory drug. You're like, hey, you want a Marvel print?
Well,
that's how you get them in, and then they buy the squirrel.
Yeah. Exactly. You suck them in with Spider-Man, and then you go, oh, by the way, I got a squirrel.
I got a squirrel. It's adorable.
But I actually physically had people tell me, if you do your own thing, I will not buy from you anymore. Right to my face. And I probably had, a good handful, maybe a little bit more. that actually told me that all throughout that last year. And I'm like, well, you know what? Thank you for your money.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean to be a jerk like that, but I mean,
Oh, they were being.
I mean, if you're going to be a dick to me,
yeah, fuck them.
basically,
that's where I'm at, and that's why I don't go to too many shows much more, because I didn't like people before, and I really didn't like them afterwards. And you got to be like, hey, how's it going? And like people would say, yeah, and some people were like, oh, well, they only do it online. No, you haven't been to a convention. People will say some shitty shit that I have had to walk away from my booth and let my wife run it for like 10 to 15 minutes so I didn't knock someone out. No, I have just had people like straight up, and I know not my work's not for everybody, and not everybody's gonna like it.
Right.
I've had some people say some rude ass shit to me, and and like I have good hearing too, so maybe they were trying to hear it or hide it. But I'm like, I heard you. I will find you later. Trust me. But yeah, and then like I had somebody. Oh, I can't even remember the convention anymore. But I had this one couple, and I should have known then. This was like first couple years in. I had one couple trying to talk me into, I think it was like PalmCon or something. They were trying to talk me into selling this giant 30 by 40 inch canvas of the Boondock Saints for like $250. And I had like, I think I went down to 400 for them, or a little less. Like they were trying to like get another 50 or $100 off of me. And they wouldn't take no for an answer. They're like, oh, well, you don't have to take it home. I'm like, yeah, but people can see this across the stage. Yep. And, even if it doesn't sell, it brings them in and it can make another $250 for sales. Right. And there was shit like that all the time. It was terrible. What's up, Ted? Good to see you, sir. Thank you for popping in. But yeah, we'll get in one of those Comic-Con episodes. Very soon. I will get that in the books. But yeah, you created, so you got done with kind of the coloring and kind of were getting out of it, I'm guessing, and you wanted to create your own animation studio. And I remember the stuff started coming out. You have your squirrel character was the first one, right?
Yep, Stanley Squirrel. Yep, yeah, my very first character.
Yeah, so you have Stanley Squirrel. You have a variety of characters now, right?
I do. I actually have, when I first started the studio in 2015, I actually created 99 characters.
Holy crap.
Well, then that's what everybody said too. And then they asked me like, well, what's their background? What do you mean you created them? I'm like, well, I created them. I kind of jumped in.
Okay.
Just all in. No slowing down, no, tiptoeing it. No. I jumped full body, and I'm a big boy. Just right into animation and the behind the scenes. Only recently did I start kind of going back to basics, I call it, and setting up a good foundation that the studio can stand on, and just start building from there, and really building my main 6 characters. So I have 6 characters right now that are like my main focus.
That's why I was confused, because I'm like, I've only seen 6, or I've only seen a few. I'm like, where are these other 80 something?
Yeah, they're out
there. In a closet. You got them in a trunk. What the hell's going on? You sick bastard.
I knew what I wanted to do. I really wanted to get away from the comic book scene. I really wanted to. Animation just makes me very happy. Comic books, I'll say this: I got burnt out. And going back to the convention thing, it was the third or second to last New York show that I was going to do. We're down in Florida, actually. It was actually in Wizard World, Fort Lauderdale, I believe. So I'm going back a little bit. And at that time, I was just stressed out. We were all over the place. I think we did 7 shows in a row, and I had one more to do, which was New York. So it was going to round about huge freaking show. But I wake up, and I think this is on a Sunday, and I'm shaking. I'm nervous. I'm looking all over the place, and Brandon's like, Jeff, what's wrong? What's wrong? I said, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. I literally had a nervous breakdown.
Wow.
And he's like, do you want to go to the show? I'm like, no, we'll go to this show because I want to get the breakfast. But we'll go to this show. And but I had some commissions that I had to do anyway for people, so I wanted to drop them off. I said, but I'm not doing New York. He's like, what? You're not going to do New York Comic Con. You're going to cut it out. I'm like, I'm done. Like, I just can't.
Now,
I need to chill and relax.
and again, I gotta explain things for people that, because I have a lot of people that don't watch or don't know the conventions, and you don't know the artist side of stuff.
Understandable. Yeah.
New York Comic Con is like one of the tippy top ones of, you know, getting into and making, of course, before COVID and the world went to hell. But when the world was normal and we could all see each other, New York Comic Con was one of the big ones at the top. You know,
it's the East Coast San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah.
Everybody from all over the world went there. You name it, they all went there. I always told people, go to New York first before you go to San Diego to kind of build up.
Okay.
Because San Diego is over a mile long. New York's not that big. Pretty damn big. Pretty close. The Javits Center is really gargantuan.
Yeah.
But it's go to New York first. I still tell people that to this day.
Yep. Yeah, and New York was getting so big that they were like, that was becoming like a second tier of announcing stuff. Like for all the big movies and stuff, like you San Diego Comic-Con was like the big one, but then like New York was right under it, and I would announce some stuff here and there, just little cool things. But it was getting, it was a big one. I never got to make it up there. And that was one of my like, okay, if I can conquer Florida, I would go up there. And fun fact, never conquered Florida. So you get into, what getting into this and getting away from, I know you wanted to get away from what you were doing, but you know, what did you want to do with, or what's the plan with this animation stuff? Like, I know you do the comic strips. I see those a lot.
Right.
I checked out your website a bit. There's stuff to, like, you want to hire in people. There's all kinds of stuff. So what is the plan for this animation studio?
The biggest plan to kind of give you the Reader's Digest version is really to create my own animations, or our own animations here at the studio, and have them be around for 90, 100, 110 and plus years.
Okay.
Basically walking in I don't want to say walking in the footsteps of Walt, but doing what all those guys from back in the day, what they all did. I mean, they did it for the fun. I mean, I love doing it. It's a lot of fun creating the characters, doing because now I write now too. But doing the writing and all that is it's fun. I understand why animators stay around for years. And I mean, you know, they're sometimes into their hundreds, definitely into their 90s. And I understand, because it makes them happy. It's just something that's fun. It just keeps them well-rounded, kind of like a kid. So basically, really, it's just to kind of create our own animations that I can just put out there to the world, that are going to be around and that people are going to enjoy. Not something like, okay, I'm probably going to segregate myself here, but I am not a fan of Rick and Morty. I'll be the first person
been able to get into that one. Yeah.
I tried for one episode. I got into it for 5 minutes and I had to shut it off, because that's not the kind of stuff I want to do.
Yeah. Well, it's even, you know, because I always try new cartoons. I'm 33-year-old, but I love cartoons. I get into them. Yeah, I absolutely love them. And I try a little bit of everything. But the problem I'm having more and more with the newer cartoons is the animation style itself. There's some that is clunky and they move around a bit weird. And there's times I can't even explain it. Like the newer Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the TMNT, the Rise of whatever it was. I can't remember what the hell.
Right. Yeah.
And I was excited when they first announced it, because they were having one of the original guys for the voice actors coming back. They had some other people, and then they started they had this big debut of it and started showing the animation. I'm like,
and that's. Yeah. And that's like the whole computer animated kind of stuff, which is wonderful. But that's where my studio is going to be a little bit different. You know, I know everybody says, well, my studio is going to be different. Well, we're going to keep traditional cell animation alive, at least in just my little studio. So we're physically pencil, paper, celluloid, not full-fledged films, you know, like Snow White or Sleeping Beauty or anything like that. But, you know, like the little shorts. But then again, don't get me wrong. I am working into, which is why I said I want to go take a course or two online for digital animation. Yeah. But this is what I call digital cell animation. You're drawing everything on the tablet or on the computer. So digital cell, so kind of coming into the 21st century.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So what are like you said you started in 2015, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
what have you hit some goals? Have like where are you at currently with everything?
I am so far behind. It is disgusting.
Yeah.
That's why I actually it's again when I said, I mean, I went full body in. I just went all sumo right into animation.
Right.
There's no, there is no book to tell you how to go from comic books into animation. I just did it and asked questions later. Had a couple dark spots and kind of little things happen personally. We talked, briefly, you and I, about that.
Yeah.
But I've just lost my train of thought. Wow. 41. All I'm gonna say.
So
Wow.
it's you were saying that you're kind of behind and you haven't hit goals that you want. I'm paying attention. Yay.
You paid attention. Good.
Thank God. That would have been awkward.
It's so expensive to honestly do an animation. You wouldn't think that even doing even up to a 3, maybe 4 minute animation is anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000. Literally.
Wow.
Now, when I first heard that, I'm like, oh, whatever. Here's a couple $100. Here's that. Yeah, no. A couple $100 might get you someone sitting down at the computer.
That's just sitting down fee. Yeah, that's not even the typing on things fee.
Right, exactly. I'm like, oh my God. But then I started breaking it down. I was doing tons of research, from watching documentaries to computer to physically going to a library, and looking all this stuff up. I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I get why it's so much. It's very time consuming, but
right.
Jeez Louise. So that's why I came up with, I'm like, well, what's another way for me to get my characters out there and for you guys to hopefully maybe falling in love with them.
Mm-hmm.
Comic strips.
Yeah.
Something I know.
And those have been great. I've really liked them. And going back a little bit to one of our conversations, the algorithm. You get lost in my shuffle, but when I see them, I try to make sure to hit that like button so you get back into my into my fold. I don't even know what it is anymore.
Well, and with that, and what I'm doing is actually coming up this spring. I'm going to be releasing my season 1 of comic strips. So it's all brand new. A lot of people wanted to know, well, where does Stanley come from? What about Natasha? How about Baby Fang? How about Billy? My main 6 characters. Where do they come from? I figured out a way to where it's not just. I was forcing out a lot of these comic strips from before, though. Even the ones that you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't coming. Some of them did. Some of them came, pretty easy, but they just weren't flowing. Right. Again, I was in a really dark spot for about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
It's getting out of that now, and I realized going back to basics. I say that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I figured out this is how I'm going to do it. Boom. Oh, duh. Why don't I do it this way? I'm not going to tell you, but why don't I do it this way? Right. And now it's flowing. It's coming out. I got a great cartoonist, Eric Martin. A great cartoonist. He did all the other ones from before that you probably, at least within the past couple of years.
Okay.
I mean, I'm excited about this, and
awesome.
As you saw, trying to get animations done too.
Right. Well, just so you know, I don't know if you saw it pop in there, but GW at HWWS WebTV says that we're always looking for new scripted content and would love to work with you if you are interested. So get a hold of GW and
cool.
Get that all squared away. But yeah, I'll have to send you the link to the website for HWWS. I actually made the website, not to toot my own horn, but it looks really good. But yeah, thank God for Wix. But
right,
yeah, oh, man. This is gonna sidebar a bit. I'm really creative and I'm really good at stuff, but I went to a night school for graphic design and web development, and it was what it was. And the web development taught us some stuff and everything, but I cannot type out a bunch of stuff and then wait for it to be a thing over here. So when Wix was like, well, you could just drop things, and then I took all the graphic design stuff I knew and how to tweak that I'm really good at, and use it on Wix, I've made my website and HWWS's website, and they are freaking awesome.
I like Wix. I do. I got yelled at by my website guy. Don't use Wix. No, don't use Wix. I'm like, why? It's easy.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely enjoy it, but definitely get with HWWS because they're trying to build a whole network. Like I said, we've got probably almost a dozen shows in our group now, and we're always growing. So I'm sure they will be able to figure out something to help you out and get you going. So
yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah,
fantastic. So we're getting it into the last little bit of the episode. Where do you go from here? What's next? Is there goals? Is there
there's always goals.
Yeah, always is there just away right now?
Well, right now, what we're working on, of course, season 1 comic strips coming out in the spring, so those are being worked on right now as we speak. Also, our second comic book coming out from Storm Kids Comics, also from Storm King. If you ever heard John Carpenter, Sandy Carpenter, it's their company. Cool. So we have so they're using our characters. We're doing the writing, we're doing the artwork. All that stuff, they're producing it, if you will. Nice. That second one's coming out in September. Plus, as you saw, if you guys go on my website, jeffbalkestudios.com, you'll see that I'm looking for story artists. I'm looking for animators. Right now, story artists, taking it one step at a time, because otherwise, it's me. I'm the behind the scenes here.
Right.
And I'm working on a quarter, literally 25-cent budget. So... so I gotta kind of break it down. I can't have 500,000 people working for me all at once. Not yet. Give me a year.
Yeah. We're holding you to that.
Good. Time it.
Well, and just so you know, your link, your website, and your Facebook are in the descriptions below on the Facebook, or if you're watching this on YouTube. And then I also just dropped your link in the chat. So if anybody's liking Jeff, likes his beautiful face, likes what he's talking about, and wants to help out or be a part of it or whatever, do you have a Patreon? I thought I saw some of a Patreon for you.
I used to a long time ago. It was kind of a lost cause for me.
I got you. I know the feeling. Yeah, I've been trying to do different things here and there and figure out some stuff, and just going, okay, does this work? No, that doesn't work. Does this work? No, that really didn't work. Put that in the fucking ground. But yeah, it's we got a lot to. There's a lot of different variants and different ways to help. But I'm sure if you reach out to Jeff and want to, do you sell anything still, or is there ways to, like, if how can somebody that wants to help grow your animation studio, how can they?
Absolutely. Go to Jabe. Oh my God, Jeff Balke's there.
Did you almost get my website?
That's pretty bad when I don't even know my own store site. No, it's Balke's Studio Art. Okay, so BalkeStudioArt.com. That's all the artwork. But if you go on my website, you'll go to store. You'll see the two different. It takes you to a couple different pages you can go to. So I got that one for all the artwork, and plus now there's brand new merchandise that I'm starting to make, which is actually being created by Teespring. They got a whole different array of things to use, and we go all the way up to size 5XL with one of the T-shirts. 4XLT and another one, and plus we have dog hoodies, we have T-shirt, a whole bunch of merchandise coming out. So
that's fantastic.
Go to my website. That's the best thing I could possibly tell you. Go to shop, and you'll see the 2 links right there. Boom.
Yes. Please support, and it goes for Jeff and all the fantastic people that I have had on my show. That is why I have them on my show, is because my show is a way to introduce you into other creative people that you may have not met, and to try to get their names out there and more. And Jeff's been doing this for what, 20-some years?
It feels like it.
Almost 15, 100, who fucking knows anymore. But Jeff's been doing this a while, but he's starting, this stuff takes forever. We both have been pushing it. So if you can support an awesome guy like Jeff, it really helps. So
I got 20 kids to feed.
Did we cover everything? Did I miss anything you wanted to chat about before we close it up here?
I think we got to talk about the comic strip, comic. Yeah, and I think we got it pretty much down.
Yeah, and it's and if you guys aren't familiar, you can check out his Instagram. He posts a lot of the comic strips, so you can learn about the Stanley the Squirrel and all of his things. Somebody put, I think it was Willow from Willow's Pillow Talk, put that your
Yes.
animation and your style kind of reminds her of Animaniacs a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd see that a little bit too. Yeah. So if that's kind of in your ballpark, or if it's not, go fucking look at it anyways. Come on, what else you got to do? But yeah, please follow Jeff at everything. You can head over to his store. Sage just dropped a link to Jeff's store. You can find him on all social media, Jeff Balke Studios, and all that awesome stuff. Thank you so much, sir, for popping in and taking time out. And I'll remember that you're an hour behind next time.
Right. All good. I remember.
Good. So, thanks, guys, for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. I love all of you. If you enjoyed this episode, want to see more, want to support me, head over to jbauerart.com. You can find the website, or you can find the website. You can find the stores, the merch stores, the art stores, everywhere to subscribe for a podcast. If there's a podcast app, I am probably on it. Just type in Back Talk with Bauer. There's tons of episodes. This was episode 41. So you've got tons to look back on. If you watch it on the YouTube channel, on the HWWS WebTV YouTube channel, you can see how shitty this show looked at from number 1 to how okay it looks now. But hopefully I fixed the screen problem. We were having some internet issues, and I don't have the ability to plug in directly yet. So I've got to I have to reset the Wi-Fi before every episode. But yeah, please like, subscribe, all that stuff. J Bauer Art, all one word. I'm on everything. Please follow me. Follow me on TikTok. I've been posting videos on there. It's cool little like time lapse of paintings, weird different things, and I'm going to do more on there. So I'd love some more TikTok followers. I know I'm 33 years old and it's on TikTok. Shut the hell up. Yeah. Other than that, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you guys later.